With Scream 6 recently releasing, I decided to go ahead and rank all 6 of the Scream movies. Let's get into it. Welcome back, I'm Seb and Ice, and in this one we'll be ranking each movie from the Scream franchise. As you can see, this will be a little more in depth as we have personal ranking, opening scene, kills, Ghostface reveal, and suspense. Now before we get into it, I do just want to say spoiler warning, you have been warned. Alright, and with that being said, let's get right into it. And so we're going to start from the bottom up. So we're going to rank pretty much everything that I think about it, and then at the end of it, we'll do my personal ranking of each individual movie. So with suspense, we're going to start with worst to best is what we're going to do. So the worst suspense in the movie for me was Scream 4. Now, to me, Scream 4 is still a good movie. Don't get me wrong, by no means. I like the movie a lot, but the thing that's holding it back is all our legacy characters. Me personally, I never felt worried about them in that movie. I felt the only people we should really worry about is the new cast. Next up for suspense, I have, Scream 3. And this one kind of goes into the same aspect of we're not really worried about the legacy characters as much because we already had them in 2 different movies. But then it was a little more worrisome than Scream 4 because originally it was, oh man, is Scream 3 the last of the Scream franchise? Because it was originally supposed to be a trilogy. And it was like, oh man, I mean, if this really is the last one, they really could just go all out and take them all out, So that was, a little worrisome, but in the end, I was like, oh, I don't really suspend it. And the cast, I didn't really like the cast. Next up, Scream 2. Scream 2 had some suspense into it, don't get me wrong. It's one of the higher ones in suspense, but there's other ones where I was worried about people more than in Scream 2. But to me, there was one that was a little more suspenseful, and that one is Scream 5. In Scream 5, we had a whole new cast, we had a whole new plot. It wasn't necessarily following Sidney Prescott anymore. I mean, we're following the Carpenter sisters now. And so that, with it being sisters, you're like, holy crap. I mean, are they going to take out one of the sisters? But then you realize they're probably not going to make just one movie. They're going to make 2. And so if they're going to make 2, they're probably going to make 3. And so with that being said, Scream 6 was a little more suspenseful. And the reason I think that is because Scream 6 is like, okay, so now we know there's a second one, there's going to be a third one, so it's obviously going to be a little more gut-wrenching for the new cast because, alright, now they survived this one, but they might not survive the next one because they might want to try and change it up like they did with, the original movies. Because in the original one, in Scream 2, rest in peace, my boy Randy, but he was one of the ones that we did not expect to go out, especially that soon. And so it was like, oh man, it could be like that. So it has you really worrying about all your characters that you've grown to love now over the past movie. And obviously, with that being said, Scream 1, most suspenseful. The reason that is to me is because it was the original. I mean, it's the classic. It's hard to top it because it's never been done before. So it's like, oh crap, they could do literally anything because there's not been one. I mean, Sydney was the final girl in that movie, but you didn't know where it was going. We didn't know it was going to end up being a franchise. Next up, we're going to move up to Ghostface reveal. So my least favorite Ghostface reveal is, Scream 3. Now, I have grown a lot, I've grown a lot more love for Roman Bridger. Yeah, I've grown a lot for him. But the thing, because he did do it by himself, we all do know that. He was the only one in all the movies, all the 6 movies, he was the only one to officially confirm to have been alone in it. And it really, that gives him a lot of credit, and I respect him for that. But the only downside is he was hardly in the movie. That fake death scene where it's like, oh, does Gail not know how to check for a pulse? And then Sydney herself didn't even remember who he was. She's like, who are you? Who are you again? So I mean, if your final girl has to say, "Who are you again?" and your killer has to be Roman Bridger, movie director, if they have to do that, then they didn't leave enough impactful of a presence for people to, holy crap. Next up, my next Ghostface reveal, Scream 6. Fantastic movie, one of the best sequels in my opinion, but the Ghostface reveal was a little lackluster. So if you see my previous video, a lot of people think I was Ghostface because how scarily accurate I was. And the only thing I wasn't like completely pretty much accurate on was the Ghostface system. I got one of them, but there was 3 Ghostface, which is a great, fantastic take on it. But when you get down to the nitty gritty, it was just a family. They were just trying to avenge Richie, which is, all great and dandy. We've seen that in Scream 2, but there was just something about this one that felt a little lackluster in comparison. Next up, next Ghostface reveal, Scream 5. Now don't get me wrong, Amber was, a great Ghostface for what she had. So was Richie, but, they were just a little lackluster. What I could have preferred a little more. And it was also kind of predictable, which was kind of hindering it a little bit. Everyone pretty much said they guessed who it was, and I don't doubt that, because that one was probably one of the more predictable, Ghostface outings. Next up, Scream 4. Now, I love Jill Roberts. Jill Roberts was fantastic. Charlie, not so much. Sorry, big dog. I know your brother was left home alone and everything, but you just weren't it for me, dude. I almost would have preferred Robbie Mercer to be the killer, because that would have been a little more interesting, because that movie Ghostface was, putting around the little cameras and stuff, and Robbie had the live stream on his head, and I mean, that would have been kind of cool in my opinion. But Jill was cool. I loved how she did the little, beating herself up scene. That was fantastic. Do not get me wrong. Pause. If you find yourself enjoying the video, please consider hitting that like and subscribing for more content just like this. Let me know your thoughts and rankings down in the comments below. You want to discuss Scream and other movie-related content with me and the boys? Then join the Discord using the link in the description below. Scream 2 being that. Scream 2 was a little bit better in my opinion. And the Ghostface reveal in that one was pretty good. We do see Debbie Loomis. We see, Billy's mom for the first time. And some people say that was a little predictable. Obviously it could have been her, but, I don't know. To me, I didn't predict her. Definitely didn't predict Mickey. I like Mickey a lot. And a lot of people were trying to think it was going to be Derek, which I'm glad it wasn't, because I don't think they should do the boyfriend back to back. You know what I mean? But next up, obviously, is Scream 1. Boom. Obviously, Scream 1 has the best Ghostface reveal. My favorite Ghostface of all time is Stu Macher. Not necessarily because of his motive or anything, because there's other Ghostface that have better motives than Stu did, in my opinion. But I just love it, how charismatic and out there he was. And Billy Loomis, also a top tier Ghostface, S tier Ghostfaces in that movie. I mean, you can't. It's hard to top them. If you look at my previous rank, I posted a community post about this previously. I was asking, who's your favorite Ghostface? And most people said Billy and Stu. So obviously that one is gonna be number 1 for most people, and it was number 1 for me. Now moving up to kills, we got for last place, boom, Scream 3. It just wasn't all there for me. The kills, I mean, they were a little different. I'll give it that. One dude blew up. I mean, we haven't seen that before, but I don't know, just something about it. I just wasn't for it. I like Patrick Warburton being in there. Him just how his death scene was corny but cool at the same time. But the Scream franchise mostly has good kills. I will give it that. Scream 3 has to be at the bottom. Something's got to be at the bottom. Scream 4 is right next to it. Scream 4 has kind of the same issue, which it has some fantastic kills. Olivia's death scene, fantastic. I think his name was Officer Perkins, fantastic. But some of the other ones, not so much. But one that I did like, which was a little messed up, was my boy Trevor. Ooh, which he wasn't a good guy at all, so I don't know why I'm calling him my boy. But Trevor, Ooh, boy, I got shot in the pee-pee and then the forehead. So bro had to go through the ultimate torture, and then he went out. That's just, oh. When I saw that happen, I was, ooh. You know what I'm saying? Like, just kill me at that point. Golly. But next up, for me, Scream 2. Now, Scream 2 was a fantastic movie, and I think it does suffer a lot from the times. You know, it was back in the late 90s, whereas some of these newer movies, they're a little more fresh, so they're able to get away with a lot more gory stuff. Scream 2 has the gore still, but it's just lacking a little bit in comparison to some of these other ones, such as the next one, which is Scream 5. Scream 5, being in, you know, the 2020s, was able to really do a number on some people. I mean, it wasn't even a kill scene, but how Tara, her opening, golly, they went on her, dude. I was feeling bad for it. They was just being brutal. The Ghostface in that movie has been brutal. But next up, I know, unpopular, but Scream 1 is second. Fantastic kills. Casey Becker's death scene will always probably be the best kill in the entire franchise. And I know what you're saying. You're like, Ice, if that's the best kill in the franchise, then why is it not number 1? Well, because one kill doesn't guarantee that you'll be number 1, because there's like 7 kills in each movie. With that being said, then that means Scream 6 has the best kills, which it's done some of the stuff that some of these other movies have done, where we haven't seen all these different styles of kills. The ladder scene, for instance, oh my god. And before Annika just like died, how he stuck that knife in her and just started going up with it. I was like, oh god. Next up, opening. The most popular scene probably in the entire movie. You know, the 2 most popular scenes are the opening and the ending. The reveal and the opening kill. So, with that being said, the worst opening, which I think everyone's going to predict this one. Scream 4, come on, bro, come on. Dude, that opening scene was dookie boy. Scream 4, I mean, the little multiple fake outs, you know, all this and that, all the Kristen Bell stuff. I mean, that wasn't good, dude. Let's be honest, it wasn't good. I mean, I guess it could have been worse, but man, not much. Not much. Next up, Scream 5. Very unpopular opinion, probably, this one, because I do love the opening scene, but it's usually called an opening kill for a reason. But I am kind of glad they changed it up, because I love Tara Carpenter's fantastic character. You know, I love seeing Jenna Ortega. She's a great character, great actress. Just like Scream 3 is next up on the chopping block, which it was different. You know, it had the 2 kills. It had Cotton Weary, which was kind of cool because he was almost becoming a legacy character. Almost, you know. I mean, he was in multiple movies and he was barely in Scream 1, but I guess you could say he was in it. But they took him out, and the only thing that I didn't like about it was the voice changer. Next up, Scream 2. This is usually people's second place one, but to me, it's not. I like it a lot. Don't get me wrong. Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps, their death scene was great, especially the bathroom scene. I mean, that one's in infamy. You ever seen a scary movie by Marlon Wayans in them? You know what scene I'm talking about then, if you've seen that movie. But that movie will always live in my head rent-free. And so next up, Scream 6. Scream 6 had a fantastic opening. I mean, we had the 2 kills like typical, but the difference is one of the kills was by the Ghostface, and we had a Ghostface reveal. Now, technically, if you want to go into depth, we had 3 kills because, you know, Gary. We didn't see him die, but he was dead. He was fully gone. And then that scene where, you know, Jason takes off his mask, and then he goes home, and then he has a little cat and mouse game with the real Ghostface of the movie. Fantastic. Hard to beat it. Hard to top. But it does get topped by Scream 1. I mean, it's the classic. I mean, it's so hard to beat that movie, dude. I mean, that opening scene with Casey Becker. Roger L. Jackson sold us, man. That was such a good opening scene. You know, because she was, you know, pinned up as probably the final girl because she was in so much of the promotional material. You know, because she was a huge actress at the time and everything, too. And so, obviously, this is it. But then our expectations are completely subverted and she's just taken out the first 10 minutes of the movie. Fantastic opening scene. And that leads me into the personal rankings. Now, my least favorite movie of the Scream franchise, Scream 3. I mean, I think with all these other rankings, you kind of have a gist at why that's my least favorite. It's a good movie. I've grown to like it. You know, and none of these movies are inherently bad in my opinion. But Scream 3 is the worst. One of them's got to be the worst. I mean, that's just how it is. One of them's got to be the worst. Next up, Scream 4. Scream 4 was a great movie, especially because that was the first movie I watched of the Scream franchise. Because, I'm on the younger end, I guess you could say. I mean, my age hasn't technically been revealed, but let's just say I wasn't even alive when the first Scream came out. So that wasn't the first movie I saw. Scream 4 was the one that brought me into the franchise. And it was good. I loved it. But then when I went back, I was like, oh, this movie is good. Let me watch all of them. I went back and watched, all of them. And Scream 1 was just, I mean, the other ones blow them out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, dude. Next up, Scream 5. Scream 5 was a great movie. It was great to have it back after like 11 years. And the only thing that hurts it and also makes it fantastic at the same time, I guess, is the death of my boy Dewdrop. I love Detective Dewey, and they took him out, which was very sad. It hurt it because now he's not going to be in any of the other movies for me, and it sucks. I hate it. But at the same time, it was fantastic because it showed, all right, these new movies ain't afraid to take out these legacy characters. They'll do it. They are not afraid of doing it. So that earned it some brownie points in my opinion, but it also hurt it because come on, Dewdrop, man. But next up, Scream 2. Scream 2 was fantastic. I mean, it was the true classic sequel. I mean, we had my boy Randy and going over the rules and everything like that. And by the way, I do want to say Mindy is a great successor. She's fantastic at doing the Randy stuff, basically. Scream 2 fantastic, but not the best. Next up, Scream 6. Scream 6 is my favorite sequel in this franchise. It was just different. I mean, we were in New York City, dude. New York City. 3 Ghostfaces, which they weren't the best. Don't get me wrong, but it was 3 Ghostfaces. The opening scene was fantastic. The whole subway scene was terrifying with Mindy. I was worried about my girl Mindy. I mean, it was a great movie, man. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. Which now you're kind of spoiled on it a little bit, but go check it out. Obviously, the crowning victor, Scream 1. It's hard to beat the classics. I mean, it's considered the best of all time for a reason, dude. I mean, it's just such a good movie. But those are my rankings of each movie in the Scream franchise. Let me know your thoughts and rankings, and I will see you next time.
Cause let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel.